Honest J. Nowak. Coming at you live. Alright. A pleasure to meet y'all at last, and welcome back to some more HJN Graphix. Today, on Tuesday, so to speak, we got ourselves some more things taking place, and as a result, let's just go ahead and get on with possibly the greatest video game I might have ever had the chance to play. I'm specifically talking about ARK Survival Evolved. So, this one I've really been wanting to talk about in as great of detail as it's legally possible. So without further ado, let's just get on into it. ARK Survival Evolved, released in 2017 as a console port of an original 2015 online PC type of game. It's probably what I consider to be equally of existence. At the same time, I consider it to be the best thing I might have ever had the chance to try out. But just like with most other games, there of course are a lot of things to really gauge into how good it could possibly be. There's plenty of things that I was able to explain if you remember from the top 15, 20, somewhere like many of these other gaming related top countdowns that I've done in the past. Especially with my top 20 best PS4 games I've ever played countdown video, which that itself was a pretty long stretch, but anything to explain in detail and in depth how good these games were. And at the time that I first played them, I pretty much felt different about some of them, but in the end, with the amount of experience I was able to get into them, with how familiar I am with them, with the details that I still have somewhat fresh in my mind, I do technically consider quite a lot of things before I even have an opportunity to create a countdown video, or at least something of the sort, in relation to how a good game is around here. ARK Survival Evolved surpasses so many expectations of mine, and normally they are pretty darn low, but whenever I've been playing games out there on PS4 that happen to be flawed in certain ways, some games like Dying Light, Outriders, or a handful of the different Call of Duty games out there which are just way too hard to begin with, mostly because of online interactivity, I consider that sometimes not all games are meant to be masterpieces, but when it comes to the best of technology, flaws need to be fixed up. The games need to be finished properly. And next-gen consoles are probably going to be having quite a lot of things to do with bad games entirely. And that's because not everybody's going to learn from their mistakes. But when it comes to Wildcard Studios and their game ARK Survival Evolved, there's probably one company out there with one unique masterpiece that has somehow managed to become the greatest thing I might have ever seen in my whole life. It is in fact what many people consider to be a Minecraft clone with better graphics and a bit more different environment, and not to mention a different fixed frame rate, which is a bit lower by any means. Even when I operate on a typical 60 FPS engine on my PS4, I still can't really help but notice that sometimes it just tends to almost feel slow, like PC quality whenever a PC is old or broken down. But most of the time, there's always the little ditty that comes in mind. Graphics don't matter very much if the game plays well, quote unquote. And the way I see it, I'm probably biased by a lot of things out there because I can't help but notice how impressive the games look. Lots of games are meant to look good these days, because why wouldn't you utilize the best technology with the brightest of colors, the most impressive Dolby quality level of sound, and most importantly, the usage of Andy Serkis's trademarked visual effects artism that has taken place over the years. Motion capture. So, that's pretty much what a lot of games are hopingly going to be operating on from this point going forward. Just to make them look good and probably feel good at the same time. And maybe play good if they become that well performed. ARK Survival Evolved, like I just said, surpasses a ton of expectations that it might seem ridiculous to you, and it might be something you would not trust with me telling you. But why else do you think I'm here? I'm here on an Honest J Nowak episode right now. And I'm over 830 episodes in, across 2 seasons. So I feel like that I've really made my point here by this point. And it's been 2 years almost since it began. And we have been through quite a lot since then. Quite a lot. Just days after NCOV itself has been identified in October 2019 is when I started the series. And since then, I've given my complete and total honesty about this. It came from a fellow coworker that I had in the theatering business. Of course, I've worked with them a lot throughout 2019 and 2020, but it's important to know it was this person's idea that made sure I myself would get this far into the series. And, you know, the fact that I'm still going right now is really going to say something about this. And it's quite an accomplishment. Well, anyways, ARK Survival Evolved is probably something that most people might consider to be Minecraft, but with better graphics and a different sort of gameplay entirely. Because it goes like this. You're stranded, naked, freezing, starving, possibly thirsty, on an island as a human survivor. Upon awakening, you find something embedded in your wrist, which happens to be an amulet that can tell you the various traits about you, the many different things relating to your background, or the kinds of abilities that you might have. It also gives you a unique leveling of the different properties surrounding you, such as your oxygen, your food, your water intake, your torpidity, which actually does go in relation to how sleepy you might feel, especially after receiving a dosage of tranquilizers. And because there are in fact a lot of other things to look out for, this game goes incredibly detailed with as much info as you possibly need to know. It really does make you feel like you're actually in an environment where you might need to do whatever you can to survive. It gives you everything you need to know. It tells you that you're too hot or too cold. It tells you you're hungry or you're thirsty or you're poisoned or you're tired or, of course, you've been tranquilized. And there are certain creatures out there that are capable of doing so. ARK is in fact probably the biggest ever thing about the combination of first-person shooter, survival, crafting, horror, and plenty of other unique stuff. The biggest thing about this game that I can really find would be the creatures themselves. But believe it or not, this game really gives you so much more to learn about. Because quite possibly the biggest ever portion of the game that makes it so unbelievably amazing at a masterpiece is the lore behind it. There are tons of YouTubers out there whom have created videos of all sorts around the world that talk about various stories relating to ARK itself. There's tons of lore to go around. Lots of it. You could spend hours trying to learn about what ARK is and how it works, or you could look even further into it, into the possible regions of the unknown. As I have, I've gotten to know about the fact that the main story of ARK, which is not necessarily explained about in the game, that's just the thing about it though. It's about learning the mystery. It's almost like playing detective in a way. You're going around searching for things, solving riddles, finding clues, and getting to know what else you could possibly discover. And on top of all that, you also got to keep in mind the many things that you do as the survivor of your choosing. You can customize the survivor any possible way that you want to adjust how thick the musculature is, how high or how heavy set you might be. You can do everything pretty much when it comes to customizing your own survivor. And when you do that, when you start at the very beginning with an inventory that has nothing at all in it, you have yourself the one option: to fight for your own survival as long as possible. on an online LAN party-based server. And a lot of games tend to operate on that sort of thing as well. PC quality level online server selection that you could potentially pick to your advantage. And you do get a nice variety of different maps to choose from. Even to this day, we are still getting a bunch of DLC packs from ARK, so it's amazing to know that the series itself, well, it's not necessarily a series itself, it's mostly just one game, but on top of all that, Wildcard Games basically handed the franchise over to Snail Games, and Snail was in fact able to create a Minecraft-based version of ARK, a ARK Survival Evolved game with Minecraft-based graphics. And then of course there is even an ARK-based park building game, which of course is only operated by VR. So if you have yourself a PlayStation VR system, then you'll pretty much be good to go. It's almost the equivalent of what Jurassic Park Builder, Jurassic World Builder, and pretty much a lot of those other mobile games are pretty much like. It just really shows that games that are meant to be more for PC or mobile devices can actually be set up on a PlayStation platform. There's really a lot of mileage you can get with this sort of thing in mind. And I tell you, there's tons of games of those varieties as well. I really consider ARK to be the best game I've possibly ever played. I mean, it's a wonder why the majority of Gaming with Kaiju Force Neo, Season 4, Season 5, and Season 6 even. There's a ton of ARK Survival Evolved content. On Season 6 alone, the majority of this whole entire year has been about me playing ARK for Season 6. With 440 episodes throughout the entire season, I mean, that's really saying a lot. But do expect it to also show up for mainline Season 7, Season 8, Season 9, and, well, man, there's probably not going to be a whole lot after that. So the thing is, I've probably spent way more time playing ARK than most other games I've ever played, ever, in history. And the thing is, though, it gets even better from here. Because there was an announcement not too long ago where there was going to be a sequel to this. Yeah, a sequel. And believe it or not, this one's supposed to be even bigger and better, a bit more invasive in a way, and quite a bit more expansive in a way. And what makes this even better is that it's supposed to be an even greater aspect of technological advancements, mostly by graphics standards, but maybe we'll see what gameplay is like soon enough, because we have until next year to see if it comes out for the PlayStation 5 and whatnot. It's even going to star actors like Vin Diesel and Russell Crowe. And I don't really know what could get any better than that. The truth is, though, I might never actually get the chance to play it. With so much bills, debts going on the line, I'd probably have to retire from gaming and sell off the console, plus all other games that I've basically collected over the years to play for GWK-based content. So, as harsh of a sacrifice as it might be, it would probably be helpful to maintain the ability to pay off all this stuff just so I can make a good living. But at least I can always remember the fact that ARK is, simply put, the greatest possible thing I might have ever discovered with my own eyes. And considering how I bought that game on the same day that I also bought a copy of Doom 2016 and Need for Speed 2015, that's really saying a lot too. The fact I was even able to spend a little money on those three games as they were on sale at the time at Target in November 2018. That really is saying a lot. Knowing I was able to get access to them at a low price, I tell you, you should definitely go hit up your gaming stores whenever you can. The GameStops around here are starting to sell off a lot of their stocks, and that seems to be very trendy these days. GameStop stock options, pretty much. But above all that, it still is an amazing, impressive masterpiece done by Wildcard and Snail. Pretty much. So by any means, if you can pick yourself up a copy, be it online or as a hard disk in stores, then please do so. You will not regret even spending a single penny on that thing. It might be hard at first, but as I was able to adjust to it over time, it really can be the adventure of a lifetime. And that's pretty much where I'm going to draw the line here, because this is a pretty long HJN episode that I just spent pretty much. At least it's not like what I did during the top 20 best PS4 games countdown, where I went even bigger in detail, but still. This is just my simple honesty being put into traction. So, if you want to see more go down on my channel, then make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.